It is the RIOT podcast. Hi. Hey.
Hopefully everybody had a wonderful weekend.
How are you doing?
Thanks for listening.
So here's what's happening in the podcast. It's like, it must be a Monday thing, or I just, inflated ego that I think you need to hear every little thing. But there's a lot on the podcast today.
So does a lot mean a lot good, or does it just mean a lot?
I'll tell you.
Volume or quality?
Sometimes at night I'm awake thinking, why does anyone listen at all? So I don't know.
Hey, but because of the sheer volume, there has to be some good stuff.
And that's what we're
banking on.
Everything.
Yeah. So you must have something that you'll enjoy in this podcast. We assume you will.
How many breaks are actually in this? I've included 18 things.
It was great.
It's a lot. Here we go.
People
talk about
love getting more stuff.
Center for Disease Control's Shake Shack, the Obadiah plays that took place over the weekend, fixing the brakes, curfews in Melbourne, biting. Oh, okay. All right. It appears that the show today may have an inordinate amount of Obadiah stories. Biting my nails. Book it for adults. I think that's a great idea. That's not mine. That's somebody else's. I give a history lesson on video game consoles, working at Enterprise, onions and their outbreak, Wilford Brimley. Celebrity salute to you, sir. Who should get the vaccine first? A visitation I had in a dream, and spitting in coffee. Oh,
that's a tough one to hear.
Yeah, so there's a lot there.
Yeah, enjoy the podcast today. Say hello. Text us, 877-2-RadioU. It's also great if you find a story that you want us to cover. You just send us the link, text it to us, and include your name and you're a podcast listener, and we'll save it for the show.
All right, that sounds great.
Enjoy the day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
One day, a heroic time traveler will go back in time to make sure none of this ever happens. Until then, it's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
One of the interesting things about the whole COVID-19 shutting down this and moving that and whatever are some of the unintended consequences. So this is one of those I'm fascinated by. The Center for Disease Control came out this weekend, and they said, look, we have to get the schools back open.
That's what they said?
You're like, wait. That's not right. That can't be it. Because remember, the schools, the diseases, whatever. And they said that basically K through 12 schools for so many Americans are the only place that they get any kind of nutrition, that anybody is watching them. And I think they kind of listed off a couple of things. And he's like, hey, if the overall health threat is worse if we close the schools, because they're not going to get anything to eat, and they're not going to be taken care of, et cetera, et cetera. And so if you look at the big picture, closed schools is worse, not better.
Well, I was reading an article stating, it was showing how, even if someone is not going, they'll still be, while people are still working the rest of their household and stuff.
Right.
They're still going to just be running around, probably exposing to more people than if they would have just stayed in a classroom.
Right.
Just because of lack of people taking care of them, safety issues, food and stuff. So you just don't know.
It's just wild to think about, because, the idea that, okay, there's the virus thing, but also, look, it's even worse if you don't come, because the other threats, which is, I read enough. Actually, I know a guy, I listened to his podcast. He has cancer. His cancer treatments were postponed because of COVID-19. And he was outraged, because he basically said, look, COVID-19 will not kill me, but this cancer could kill me if I don't get these treatments. And so there's just a lot going on.
So they were saying how a lot of times it can be older people that are more concerned, so say the teachers that are wanting to have safety for the kids coming in just for themselves. So I forget who said it, but someone had a great idea of okay, well, if your teacher is older and more worried about, how it might affect them, then you have younger students younger college age leaders and stuff who are responsible for the classroom itself. And then you put a camera on a teacher at home, and then they're teaching that way, but there's still someone younger in the room who can watch them.
Right. There's just
You don't know.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot with it.
I have heard, of course, I think we've all seen the little petty bickerings on the social media between people.
No, you are kidding.
But to hear that from the Centers for Disease Control, that was the last place that I thought would be saying we should open schools. That got my attention. Obadiah, what do you think? Look, I don't know.
He's just telling you what he was seeing.
I don't know. That's just what they said. I didn't expect to hear that from them.
It's not like the article's about should RadioU open or stay open or be open. It's not us.
We'll always be here.
We'll always get to be here. But yeah, you want to make sure everyone's safe, but it's just hard to figure out how that works.
Yeah, it's a lot of factors that people are having to work through. That's tough.
What's worse than the worst of the riot? The worst of the riot podcast. Yeah. You did this to yourself. Podcast. Riot. Radio U.
Shake Shack. They make burgers. Now, I need to make a statement about their burgers.
Well, I think you did a minute ago, but
they're fine. I feel like in a sea of overpriced burgers, which is kind of where we're headed. The last time I went to Five Guys, I was like, what is going on back there?
They're all very expensive.
They started out at what I would consider to be a premium price, and now they're just flat out too much. There, I said it.
Yeah, he's being honest.
It's controversial, but I said it.
I think we all know it and we all understand it.
And so now Shake Shack's like, hey, we're getting set up for the drive-thru. So you can pay. That to me, okay, that's the deal breaker. So they say over the next 3 years, they are looking at adding drive-thrus to a lot of their
I don't think they've ever had one, but it's a dedicated drive-thru concept. So basically, Starbucks said they're closing a bunch.
Okay.
So this is different. This just isn't adding a drive-thru.
So they're talking about starting up businesses that are drive-thrus.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Starbucks is closing down a bunch because they want all their stores to have a much bigger dedicated drive-thru presence.
Sure.
Chipotle is doing that, a bunch of others, because when this pandemic happened, they realized that if they have to close their physical store in the future ever again for something, that more people want mobile ordering and a faster way to do that. So with Shake Shack, they're saying that they could offer up to 3 lanes. One for
Stay in your lane, Nikki.
Exactly. Don't swerve out of it. One for actual ordering, and then the other 2 would be just dedicated to mobile pickup stuff.
Okay.
So that way you're not going in at all. But Shake Shacks are normally not in a... They're like in a an office building, or a strip thing or a mall, but not like in a setting where they could add drive-thrus to those.
Yeah, it's an odd choice. Now, they say they've been offering, and we may have said this, curbside pickup for a lot of their stores now because of what's going on with pandemic stuff.
And they're looking into cloud kitchens, which I believe is where there's a restaurant there, but it's not a restaurant. It's popular in like New York City and other bigger places.
Yes, okay.
It's like you see that there's a Shake Shack there, but it's not. You can't just go in and sit down and eat. It's only like there's no...
It's almost like a pop-up,
Pretty much. Yeah, it's kind of treated like that, where they're just sending food out for deliveries, but it's not for you to go and sit in and enjoy.
Well, again, I hate to be that guy, but I don't think it's good enough for me to pay that much for it.
If it's more convenient, maybe.
No, still not good enough.
Still not. And of course, they'll probably have to maybe increase prices to pay for all this.
Well, I mean, how can they not?
So that's for Shake Shack. And you'll just see a lot of restaurants really try to enhance the drive-thru experience, which will also include like mobile pickup and all that stuff that goes around that.
Yeah.
So that'll be next year, not anytime this year.
To me, I feel like the difficulty is that I have a certain price expectation. Though, in fairness, like even hitting the drive-thru like Wendy's these days is pricey. Where did I go the other day? I spent like $8 in the drive-thru, and I was like, excuse me. Obviously, this is a mistake because...
Why is this much?
You're Wendy's, for crying out loud.
Every place, it's getting expensive.
Man, you know what? This is what happens. This is where grumpy old people come from. Eventually, they're like, I want to pay prices like it's 2012.
Oh, is that it?
And they're like, bro, it's 2020.
You have no
prices
idea.
are going up.
They will absolutely go up.
The Riot. They're kind of a big deal.
Hey, can we do that again? Maybe a little more energy? No.
Radio U.
Remember, you can also hit us up at riot.radiou.com.
You did a Obadiah Plays on Saturday. Hey!
I did. You know, I went back and watched it, and the frame rate is kind of weird on the game. I'm not sure why, but you can still watch it. It was grounded, which is that it's a game preview. It's kind of short. But the idea is you don't know why, but you're basically a kid that has been shrunk down and is stuck in the backyard. So literally think Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, if you know what that is. And it's a survival game based on that. So you just wake up, you don't know why you're there, and you learn to craft things and build things. And then there are clues that you can kind of follow to see, what's going on, why are you down there, et cetera, et cetera.
Was it fun?
I loved it.
That's good.
I loved it. I think it's a spectacular concept. And
I think that's why they had movies.
Right. No,
based on the concept.
But, it was stuff like you're wandering around the backyard and when you're playing a game like Zelda was like this or whatever, you discover something, it shows up on your map, but it's kind of hilarious. The stuff that you discover is I essentially found a big empty Tic Tac container. Just stuff like that you find in the backyard. Of course, they're huge. You're small. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it doesn't have much there's not much there. Now you could do the survival stuff basically all day long. So
otherwise you're just walking around.
Yeah, you can keep crafting things and building and gathering, and that was fun. I think they've got something there. But when it came to moving the story along, you kind of hit a wall there. It doesn't go any farther, but man, that's a lot of fun. And it's one of those things where you're like, man, this is a perfect Switch game, but it's, as far as I understand, and I think I'm getting this right. Pretty sure that Microsoft bought Obsidian. Obsidian is the company that made this game.
So they're not going to put it out on the Switch.
I don't think so. I think that's probably an Xbox and PC only kind of thing. It is right now. Whether it eventually would come to the Switch, I don't know.
Sometimes they put limits for the first year, you can only have it here, but it opens up after.
Nikki, in the game community, we call it timed exclusivity.
That's it. So it might not be forever. That's cool. I'm glad you got to play it.
I did, and you guys can see it on our Facebook page. And you know what? I'll post a link to that later today on the Riot blog as well. So you know what? I had fun. It was fun.
Yay.
We've got an archive of everything stupid the Riot has ever said at your fingertips. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
You need a new streaming service. You do.
It's been a few weeks since you got a new one, right?
So you should probably sign up for CBS All Access.
No, but that's not a new one.
No. I didn't mean it's new to everybody. I just mean it would be new to you. So that would be wow, look, I've never had it before. Oh, now I'm learning why I never wanted it.
I just don't understand. Every time I hear about a new CBS show, it's always for CBS All Access. Mm-hmm. And I understand, but I do think it's odd. I never hear about a new CBS show. Just All Access.
Well, they say,
and I get what they're doing, but
they say they're rebranding. That they're gonna add just all kinds of stuff to it.
No, not that they don't have enough on CBS All Access. It just because I don't watch CBS, I think, do they ever get anything new for the actual network? On broadcast television.
Are they still on?
I don't know because it's always All Access.
I seriously have no idea. But they are rebranding. They are et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the one thing that has my attention a little bit is that they have a new Star Trek show this week. It's their animated comedy Star Trek show. I'm a little interested in that. I'm not a lot interested.
Have you seen ads for it
I literally haven't seen anything about it except for this. And I know they released some clips during Comic-Con and whatever. I didn't even look at the clips. I was just like, I'll get there, whatever.
So it's animated Star Trek, and it's a comedy.
Yes. I do think the idea is interesting because the idea is that it's the least important people on the least important ship. That's funny.
We can relate to that.
Now, of course, that was also it's not like the idea hasn't been explored. Serenity was the pitch for that TV show was, Firefly. The pitch for Firefly was, the people in Star Trek would fly right past these people.
I would just ignore them.
They're not important enough for anybody to care about.
I see.
And so that became an interesting hook. And so I don't know. Maybe this will be funny.
Could be good, I guess. It's animated.
And I mean, I just dropped HBO Max, Nikki.
Did you?
So
I thought you were going to stay with it a while.
I am just primed.
And no one picked up Peacock, so it's fine.
I did their 7-day free trial.
Yeah, but you wanted to cancel that day, so it doesn't count.
I did cancel that day, but no. They still count me.
They do?
Yeah, because technically, Peacock's free.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I'm still getting ads where they're like, you can watch all these shows free with ads.
Well,
the
just
shows you didn't
unsubscribe.
want.
That way you don't get any more.
I unsubscribed from their emails. They still own me.
They still have a way in.
They still got me.
Well, that's if anybody still uses or has never, but this is your way to jump into CBS All Access. We have way too many streaming services.
Way too many.
And none of them are offering anything that amazing. You just wish I wish we could all get along and we were all back at one service.
Yeah.
And we didn't appreciate when we did.
No.
Or we at least just had one or two. We weren't all playing well together.
You weren't even sure if you wanted a second one.
And you thought, well, maybe it will be better if they branched out to their own, and maybe prices will go down and all that. And we were wrong.
Prices will go down is never in this thing.
It's never going to be an option.
That's never happening.
So what's the name of the show, though?
Star Trek Lower Decks.
Lower Decks, okay.
I think I am mildly
interested in it.
So mild. Mildly interested.
A Rotten Tomatoes score so high, they refuse to make it public. The Riot on Radio U.
Stuff you might hear about today. The CDC is saying that it's a greater public health threat to keep schools closed, and they should reopen smartly. That's my tone for quotation marks. They said that smartly. Also, it looks like Microsoft's going to buy TikTok, at least the American arm of that company. And
there's 45 days.
There is a substantial fire still taking place in California, in San Bernardino and Riverside. So far, it's affected about 20,000 acres in that area. Now, Nikki, back to this TikTok thing.
Yeah.
Do you find that... I just have a ton of questions for you. As a dedicated TikTok user.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you find yourself...
Not a poster, but just a watcher.
You're a lurker.
I'm a lurker.
Do you find yourself more or less interested as a result of Microsoft buying it?
I mean, it depends on... I don't think they could take it anywhere. Like, I just don't know how that would end up being. Would they have control over it or... what it is, but I was thinking about it going into the weekend because, Radio U official, we joined TikTok,
launched.
And I thought the whole weekend I was just on edge. Thought, of course. What if TikTok goes away? Because everybody thought it'd go away on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
And then if you have to take a step back and realize there are other countries that are pulling TikTok, it seems like there are some real concerns with TikTok, and we've known this. We understand this.
About?
There are some actual security concerns with the app, but it doesn't mean we don't want it to go away.
Nobody wants that.
No one was saying that. So if it has to be Microsoft that comes in, then that's fine.
Okay. So you're saying it's not enough. It doesn't make you not want to use it.
No, it's just... Will it change, or you're curious what will happen to it?
My other big question about it is, will it even matter when Instagram launches Reels in what, are we 2 weeks away from them launching that?
Instagram is launching their own version of it.
Right.
So if we all move over there, or do you feel more comfortable moving over there? Because what if TikTok goes away? I think it made creators very nervous. Like the big creators who made a living off of TikTok, that something could just be gone.
Whoosh.
Yeah.
And you said you follow some people on TikTok that happened to,
yeah,
right?
I had one who I follow, and she's in Hong Kong, and she just woke up one day, and that was it. It's gone there.
No more TikTok.
No more TikTok.
What a world.
So it's just very odd. Now, there are ways around it, and we won't get into all that, where you can still experience TikTok, no matter if your country takes it away, but it's not as easy.
Nikki's been preparing for that potential day.
A lot of people know that, but yeah, so we'll see what happens. 45 days, they're saying.
All right. Fingers crossed. I just hope it goes all right.
Obadiah and Nikki tried their hardest, and that's what really matters. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
Over the weekend, swapped out the brakes on my car.
Hey, a lot of people wondered how it worked out for you.
You know what? It went fine. It ended up being, of course, way more involved than I wanted it to be. I originally was just going to swap out brake pads. Got the tire off and got a look at the rotors, and it was like,
You need to change more?
So I went back to the parts store to buy new rotors and tools because I needed a breaker bar, which sounds like a delicious little snack, but that is not what it was.
It's not a granola bar?
No. And I also I had to, if you don't know what brake rotors are, take a wheel off and you see those like round things that the wheel sits on top of, that's a rotor. And your disc brakes grab that to stop the car. That may not be exactly how it works, but it's close enough. And I noticed that, and they, on an assembly line, they have these screws to hold the rotors in place, but in real life, you don't need those because your wheel does that.
Yeah.
And so these screws get on there, and they are unbelievably hard to get off. And so I finally just, after stripping one badly, I got out my drill and drilled them out. Mm-hmm. That to me was terrifying. I had to sit there for a minute and just think, all right.
The pros and the cons of what you're about ready to do.
This is the point of no return. Like, if you mess this up, you will require professional assistance.
But it worked out fine?
It was fine.
Good.
Yeah. And so I got in there, and man, it just, oof. Yeah, it still cost me, by the time I was done, about $250 to do all that work. Because, again, I needed, like, a breaker bar was $30. I needed some, brake cleaner. Mm-hmm. By the time I got it all said and done.
But it would have been more if someone else did it, right?
It would have been a lot more, yeah. So, I mean, I still saved money, quote unquote, but it didn't feel like I saved any money.
Well, you didn't save time. And I think that's where you really, where you felt it. But
you know what, though? There is also, there is a satisfaction in doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There is a terror, because if you have done it incorrectly, you will hit the brakes and they won't stop and you'll die. There's that. But, it's just a hint of danger.
Just a hint of danger. And if not, how do you get it to someone for them to fix what you've done?
I thought about that.
And then the embarrassment.
But you know what? Like, as I said, it ended up taking, it's approximately about an hour's worth of labor that took me, I'd say, about 4. But you know what?
You did it. You got to work.
Look out in the parking lot right now.
It's not noticeable to the outside world, but inside we know you did an amazing thing.
I really, it was something I drove around my neighborhood just
to make sure.
Well, you always want to, what do they call it? Set the brakes. I think with newer brakes, you don't have to do that, but I still did it anyway, just because I wanted to make sure that it worked. Because I was like, in my neighborhood at 10 miles an hour, I could probably hit the e-brake and be okay.
Yeah.
Out there, not so much. But
I'm just double checking.
It worked.
Well, I saw a lot of text messages come in over the weekend, especially from podcast listeners who knew on Friday that you talked about you're going to do some car work over the weekend. So they wanted to know how it was going.
I made it. I did it.
Congratulations. You did it.
Things are never as bad as they seem, except when it comes to the riot. Then they're worse. They're always worse. It's the Riot on RadioU.
So we were talking about a couple of minutes ago. I had to replace my rear brakes on my car this weekend, which you know what? I don't completely mind. It took some time and whatever, but I think Nikki and I don't really work with our hands very much. And so I think for
pushing the buttons here it's not taxing.
I think it's
good to do that every so often.
It is. I think it's especially good for someone with a job like mine to do something with their hands. And I learned some things in the process. I like to learn things.
Probably pushes you in areas where, again, we don't normally do our own stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad thing. It just was time consuming. But this all came off of, I had to buy new tires last week because one of my tires was no good. And, I bought those brand new tires and there's something wrong. And I'll have to say, I stood in my garage with a tool in my hand looking at my car. And there was this temptation. Those brand new tires looked so nice. And I was like, you know what? Just nobody has to know. Just keep driving on the crappy whatever. It's fine. Nobody, like,
I'm sure it'll be good.
It's only going to make it worse if you get in there and start working on it. And I'll tell you what I started thinking about. You know, God literally says that we look on the outside, but God looks on the heart. And so on the outside, it can look like everything's fine. And you know what? Not only did it look like everything was fine, but those were brand new tires. So like they still had like a little shine to them. They had approximately 3 miles on them because I'd driven them home, you know, and I just thought, yeah, it looks great. But I knew that there was something wrong behind that shiny exterior. And God sees us the same way. He knows if there is something wrong. And I will tell you that sometimes the temptation we all face, you know, you just want to leave the tire on and just keep going. But you don't want to do that because eventually that leads to something breaking down. It could end up to it hurting you. It could hurt other people. I mean, there's a lot going on there. And at some point, you just have to take some responsibility and say, all right, I don't want to put the work in. I don't really want to do this, but I know that I'm going to have to do this. And God cares enough about you that he wants to help you. He loves you. He sees what's going on. He knows that you've got some things that need work. He doesn't want to expose it. He doesn't want to hurt you. He just wants to help because he cares about you and he cares about the people around you. So look, I don't know what's going on the inside for you, but I do know this. God knows, God cares, and he wants to help you get it fixed because better now than later when it's just made things worse. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, it's a great time. You can just say, Jesus, I want that. I want you in my life. I want you to fill me with your spirit. And you know what? The outside looks okay, but there's trouble on the inside, and I really need your help with that. Listen to what God has to say today and do something about it.
The worst podcast with the best listeners. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So looking at what's going on with the whole coronavirus thing in Australia, they are ratcheting things up there. What I would call it Melbourne, but isn't it Melbourne?
Melbourne, yeah.
Melbourne, Australia just went into an announced 6-week shutdown of businesses. So they closed Kmart, Target, basically not all, but a lot of grocery stores. Mm-hmm. They say there's a meat shortage and that the actual city as itself is in a stage 4 lockdown. Their stage is not ours. And that apparently the rest of the country is in a stage 3. They have a curfew there, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m.
That's what I saw trending
8
over.
p.m.
Yeah, I saw that trending over the weekend. So again, I assume that sounds similar to. We didn't have a curfew though, but at the beginning
Didn't we? Wasn't there like a?
I don't think there was. It was just very highly suggested. If you had no reason to be out, then you shouldn't. It was really only for essential workers. But then we found out a lot of people still fell under that category.
You're way more essential than you thought.
Yeah, so you had a lot of people still out and about, but this seems a bit more stricter than that.
Well, I will say during our stay-at-home stuff, traffic was amazing.
There was none.
You could just go wherever you wanted, whenever you wanted. No big deal.
Sure. But we are in an area where there's a lot of medical buildings around us.
That's true.
The only thing I will say is there was always people still there because, again, they were essential.
It's true. But you know what? It's
the freeways, though, were a lot more clear.
Insane.
So the curfew part seemed to be what was trending a lot. At least I saw that on Twitter, of the fact that people needed to follow that starting at 8 p.m.
I just can't believe that. Like, that's crazy that to be on curfew at 8 p.m. Your parents weren't that strict.
Your parents never gave you that?
I mean, your parents
were
like 11, midnight.
Just call and tell us.
Call and tell us where you are.
But not 8 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
They just want everybody in.
I mean, weirdly enough, with this job, I'm typically in before 8 p.m. and yet still.
Not in bed.
It's not like someone's telling me to go inside.
Well, Melbourne's not saying, hey, you have to be in and asleep by 8 o'clock. It's not like that. They just want everybody away.
You don't
and
know?
back in home.
You don't know. Maybe they are.
They're not doing that.
They're like, you need to go to bed right now.
They're not. We're not grounded, and you have to go to sleep.
It feels like grounded, but they're grounded. You're grounded from the disease. Like, listen, I don't care what Johnny's parents say.
You're just staying inside.
They're staying inside.
Well, just to keep people safer.
Yeah, so it's getting pretty serious down there. As for how things are going in the United States, it's either happening, it's getting better or worse. It's a vast conspiracy, or it's not.
There's lots of ways to look at it.
There's a huge health risk, or it's election fraud. It just whatever.
You mean we have a lot of choices?
What I'm saying is,
a lot of options.
I have no idea what's going on.
You look and you see people that are still hiding away, staying safe inside, and then I see a lot of party people. I see a lot of everybody.
I see, yes, Nikki. Wondrous variety.
Giving every novelty food the publicity it so blatantly desires. It's The Riot on Radio U.
I bite my nails. I do.
Are you wanting to stop, or
no?
You just don't care right now?
I don't care. I'm careful to make sure that I throw the nail pieces away.
Ew, wait, like that? Oh.
Can I ask you a question? What do you want me to do with them?
I don't
Just
know.
spit them on the floor?
Well, I didn't know this is what you were doing, like, right now.
Yeah.
You want the trash can?
Well, I'm putting them in this cup, which will then go in the trash can. What?
That's something you want a tissue?
Well, can I ask you? Okay, explain to me why.
What if you drank out of the cup, and what if you didn't know?
I'm not going to drink out of this
cup.
cup.
What if someone else walks in? I don't want to look at it. I'm not looking at it.
You can't see them.
I don't care. I don't want to look at it.
It's so small. I would never drink out of a cup that size. I have standards.
I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about someone comes in, it tidies up. Let's say Sydney comes in later.
Sydney is suddenly like, I'm going to pour some Windex in here and have a sip?
Maybe she thinks, we didn't use the cup. It doesn't look used. She doesn't look enough at it.
It has been used.
Puts it back in there.
There's crumbs at the bottom from the pretzels I ate earlier, which, by the way, I also had pretzels for breakfast.
You did.
So that's where I'm at right now. Pretzels for breakfast. I'm
biting
biting my nails.
Aw, you can put a rubber band on your wrist. That always does the trick.
Why?
Then you flick the rubber band, inflict pain every time you want to bite your nails, and then you'll stop biting your nails.
I don't feel like anybody gives me a truly good reason to not
bite your nails?
Bite my nails.
Well, I think it can cause infection.
What kind? Am I getting disease from under my nails?
Well, no, you can because you're biting it. You don't know what else is going on.
Yeah, but the thing is, Nikki, like with me biting my nails, I'm getting stronger.
You're not. You're taking away the protection for your finger.
Oh, gosh.
By taking away the nail.
Oh, the satisfaction of ripping off a nail. It's
so
just
bad.
I feel better already.
Now it's made your day?
Yeah.
Why bite your nails, or why
stop?
Should we not bite our nails? Why should we hire you?
It's going to give you something. Boy, please don't Google that.
Well, I was just going through the list.
There's probably not a good reason to hire me at this point.
Nail biting could cause your teeth to break or could damage your tooth enamel.
Okay.
The germs could also potentially infect or cause irritation to your gums. The bacteria that's on your fingers or nails can linger in your mouth and cause other issues.
Angela says, I think it causes tooth decay. Well, I mean, I'm still brushing my teeth.
I was thinking of the finger, but you're right. You have to be watchful of your teeth. That's actually where the problem really goes.
Gosh, I don't know. Like, what if I told you it's kind of worth the risk?
You don't care? Don't tell me what to do. Is that what we're at?
Dane says, do you clean under your nails? You could get sick or worse parasites. Katie says, I bite my nails. Nail biters forever. Yep. See?
I was just more grossed out that we're collecting them over there.
I'm not collecting them because I'm going to keep them. I'm collecting them to put them in the trash.
And you bite your nails like at night, like it's a part of your beauty routine at night. You wash your face, brush your teeth, bite your nails.
Nikki, I'm only nervous in here. It's a very nerve-wracking place.
That's not why you're biting your nails. You're not nervous. Are you anxious?
So anxious.
So anxious.
What if I mess up?
No one cares.
What if I mess up?
No one cares.
So I got to make sure, like, the pressure, Nikki.
The pressure for a good show is driving you to bite your nails.
Pushing me to nail biting.
I I just didn't know that was going on over there. So.
Oh, see, I thought it was plain that
No,
I'm
I
over
never
here just
noticed.
like.
Didn't notice that it was in such a way that we're collecting them in the cup next to you.
You know what? You make it sound
Gross.
bad.
Gross.
You make it sound bad. It's not bad. It's very human.
The Riot has now been downloaded. Hope you installed some antivirus. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
Okay, so Angela says, if you weren't with us, I'm a nail biter, and I'm biting my nails and then putting them in this cup here to throw the cup away.
You're just having a bad morning with it. Or is
What?
this every morning? Is this every morning and you never said it?
Oh, it happens all the time.
All the time? The cup thing? The collecting of it?
Well, I always make sure if I'm going to bite my nails, I'm in a common space.
You don't
I
want
want
to
make
flick
sure
it on the floor?
No.
Because we've seen that.
That to me, like, that's just rude.
That's gross.
That's just rude. I don't even do that in my own room.
Okay, good.
All right? You don't do that. Maybe in my car sometimes, but like, not in my house.
Sure.
Okay. So Angela says, Nikki, I feel your pain. My husband does this all the time. Yeah, fist bump. And to the nail biter.
To the nail biter, not to Angela.
Andy says, Obi, it sounded like Nikki was taking that mom tone with you over biting your nails.
Hey, fine. If that's what I have to do to not have this going on over there.
I'll just tell you right now, I think God just created women to be the mom in your life. And then you marry a woman and she's there because your mom eventually won't be there. And God's
You still need some
God's
guidance.
just like, you obviously are an animal and can't live on your own. So I've got to put a woman in here to make you behave.
Well, I just want to make sure that no one eats your nails.
Okay. Keith says,
Never thought I'd say that, but
you're not supposed to touch your face. Nail biting is like hardcore face touching.
just ripping the nails off.
Also, I'm a nail biter. Let's see. Nikki. This is from Zach. Nikki, I know the Chinese government's collecting my information and I don't care. Also, Nikki, biting your nails? OMG.
Are we trying to analyze what I think is right and wrong?
I think he's just saying that
I
there
don't
is
care about TikTok, but I do care about your nail biting. What if you chip a tooth? You don't want anything else to go wrong.
No, I don't. Don't say that.
I'm just telling you.
I don't want to chip a
these could be
tooth.
issues. They said that you could chip a tooth, you can get an infection. It can cause gum
I'm
problems.
not worried about the infection. We'll just take a pill.
No, it's not always that easy. And you don't want to right now. You don't want to go to the doctor with anything.
It's not even, I'll just tell you, your doctor's like, are you dying? Don't come in.
Then you don't come in. And
Don't come in. I'll televisit you.
We don't need anything else. Okay? Can we all agree on that?
That's fair.
So I'm noticing something over there, and I thought I would just remind you that maybe we don't want to do that right now.
You know what, Nikki? I don't cuss. I don't drink. I don't smoke. This is my thing.
No.
I need this.
I
need it.
So does your vice. So this is not it.
So does my minerals. It's my vitamins.
It's fine. I just don't want to know what's going on. Just do it over there and just be quiet about it. Just don't let me see it.
Oh, you know what? Jason just sent us. He has a. This is what it could be, Nikki. He just sent us a photo of my favorite cereal. It looks like he has 10 boxes of it.
How did he stock up?
The s'more cereal. He said it's on sale this week. So do you want me over here just eating handfuls of s'mores or maybe bite a nail now and again?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You could break a tooth by all the cereal, too. I don't know.
Forget it. I'll just go get some more coffee.
Thanks for texting, Jason. I think you bought a lot.
Let me tell you what right now, Nikki.
What?
Oh, you know what? My level of concern is... Oh, wait.
Is high.
Eli says COVID has us all biting our nails again.
We're just all on edge.
Oh, he uses a nail-biting polish off of Amazon. He says that eventually it makes you stop.
Yeah, you can put stuff around your nails to make it bitter, so then that way you don't bite your nails.
Dane says that you... Oh, wait, no. Where'd it go? Ashton chipped a tooth from nail biting at work? What is wrong with you people?
We all want you to just realize that could potentially happen.
You know what? This is the last time I share anything with you guys.
You're listening to a morning show hosted by two people who absolutely despise getting up in the morning.
Will you give me a break one time?
The Riot, RadioU.
At Maryland Mudflap, that's the person on Twitter who said the following. As the world gets dumber, I can't help but think Pizza Hut should give a personal pan pizza to every adult who reads 12 books over the summer.
So is that like when we were kids and you had a summer reading program?
Wasn't it called Book It?
I don't recall.
I had, let's see. I'm going to look into that.
And then you would just get, I used to get something like through the school if you would do it, but I don't recall if you got a coupon or something.
Book It, the Pizza Hut book reading program. Yeah, that was like a thing where you read however many books and then you got a personal pan pizza. I almost
like
never
Pizza
got
Hut,
to cash it in.
But I forget that they're around, so. But I like Pizza Hut.
Well, once they cut the buffet off for us.
That was too much.
Yeah, it becomes problematic. You know what? I think this is great. I think we should all take some time and read some books this summer. Summer's not over, Nikki. If we read one book a week
we could still
and it's
do it?
August, that means that we could read 7 books.
What do they want us to read, though? Like, is it supposed to be a mixture of maybe some self-help, some beach reads?
You know what? It doesn't say.
Some video game movie crossover ones? Like, what do they want?
I've read a few books this month. Well, okay, it's August. No, but July, like I read a few books. I read I'm almost done with Starship Troopers. That's a weird book, guys. That's like, hey, it's a science fiction book, but it's actually long essays on.
Is it based on the movie?
No. The movie's based on the book. The movie and the book, not a lot alike. Not going to lie to you. Like, not really. So you got that. Let's see, what else did I read? From Wild Man to Wise Man, Richard Rohr.
Sounds
that
good.
Actually, I couldn't recommend that enough. If you're a guy, that book, like, you should read that book. It's so good. And then I read Isaac Asimov's Foundation. Mm-hmm. And I read, I don't remember, something else. So I almost got 4 books.
You almost got a pan pizza.
I'm on my way. If I keep it up,
you could totally get a free pizza.
No
one's giving that out, by the way, just in case you're like just joining us. You're like, oh, I want a pizza.
What if I reward myself?
You get your own pizza.
Say, you know what? Read this book, get pizza. Doesn't that sound great?
No, I want to do pizza and ice cream. So you get to go pick up your pizza and then get to go get ice cream. It's a dinner. You want the whole thing.
You just want to.
Hey, I'm a grown-up now.
When we started the pandemic lock-in, whatever,
yeah,
Nikki ate a few gallons of ice cream.
Probably more than that.
How long's it been?
Since I've had ice cream?
Yeah.
Maybe once or twice in the last 2 months, maybe.
Okay.
2.5.
Guess who hasn't missed a day of work the entire month of August?
Well, I mean, we're just starting. Okay, both of us haven't.
So, as a reward, Nikki, you should get yourself some ice cream.
I don't need ice cream. We got a chocolate cake in the break room. That's the reward right there.
You've had perfect attendance in August.
You're right.
And I'm blown away by that.
How about we all promise each other to celebrate like gratefully the victories that we have.
Right.
And so today, you're right. We're making it through. We had a great weekend. We could have some cake.
Fantastic. I'm so excited for you and your accomplishments.
We weren't allowed to go get the cake until after the show because it's really chocolatey. So
very chocolatey.
We won't be able to pay attention
when
we're done eating the cake.
Remember, I set a timer that is up in 16 minutes.
Oh, then you can go get some?
That's right.
Just because you get such a crash.
Yeah.
Everything you love about the Riot, plus a handy-dandy fast-forward option. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Anybody else still stuffing money into an envelope for a PlayStation 5? I raided that envelope for parts and equipment this weekend.
You did that a long time ago.
Well, I did. I bought a new computer, which I actually I know what no one's going to believe me, but it was for work and it was totally worth it. Totally worth it. Then I had started setting money aside, but I raided that and purchased brakes and tires over the weekend.
Well, you still have time. I mean,
there's still time.
It's probably, do you think it's November or do you think it'll be October?
I think it's going to be November.
November for the new PlayStation and the new Xbox.
So according to this survey from Experience 12, they say, this is their words, not mine. They say they're a pop culture marketing agency. So in the survey they see the PlayStation 5 outselling the Xbox One series, Xbox Series X, 6-1.
6-1?
Their responses were 6-1 in favor of a PlayStation 5.
But I think most people assume the PlayStation will outsell the Xbox, the new one. Isn't that pretty common?
Well, it depends on what generation we're in. The Xbox 360. Okay, Nikki, let me spin you a story.
Yeah.
All right, the PlayStation 2 versus the original Xbox. Everybody was like, Microsoft, they make Windows. And so the Xbox didn't do super well.
Sure.
Until this little game came out, some called Halo 2. Halo was picking up speed. Halo 2 really picked up speed. So then it came time for Microsoft to launch the Xbox 360, which they did, and they launched it ahead of the PlayStation 3.
Sure.
So the Xbox 360 comes out. It's $400. A premium, to be sure, but
cheap now.
The PlayStation 5 comes out at $500 and $600. The people at PlayStation say, oh, this is so awesome, you'll just get a second job to pay for it.
That's what the guy running it said when in question of why would you send something out that was so expensive?
The hubris destroyed them and the cell processor. Switch generations. Time for a PlayStation 4. Time for an Xbox One. Microsoft gets high on their own supply. And they come out and they're like, the Xbox One is $500 and it does a million things. And maybe it plays video games. And by the way, you can't buy used games. And you can't this.
That was when they were trying to make it into an entertainment center.
Yes.
Not just an Xbox.
Then the PlayStation 4 comes out and they're like, we're $100 cheaper and you can trade games all you want and all this stuff. And they absolutely destroyed the Xbox. So now we're headed into a new generation.
Wonder who's going to do what?
I actually think both companies have learned from their previous mistakes, and they have smart people running their divisions now. But we'll just have to see.
That's why no one said their pricing yet. No one wants to go first.
That's exactly right.
They will wait till the day before, guys.
I'll just tell you right now, if the PlayStation is $499,
then the Xbox
will be $479.
Yeah, they're waiting for whoever will shoot the first shot.
Absolutely. So quietly. And we have to start wondering, what with the comet and all, will we even be here in November?
I think we will.
Probably.
It'll be fine.
We probably will.
So what was this company saying, though? They were
saying that according to their responses, they see the PlayStation outselling the Xbox 6-1.
That's their odds.
That's a lot.
That is.
Where do you go when you need someone to listen to your problems and give you a big hug? Not here. Obviously. This is The Riot on Radio U.
You know, Nikki, there's a lot of negative energy in here. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's you. I don't know if it's leftover from Hudson or maybe Sydney.
Something?
I don't know the answer. Did JR leave us some negativity? I don't know.
What do you feel?
Well, I just know that this is not the answer to the problem. We've got somebody in Missouri at an Enterprise rent-a-car who is now being accused of spiking the drink of his coworkers. He said in there at Enterprise, there's a lot of negative energy, which I'll tell you.
You understand.
I understand what they're saying. Because I've been to an Enterprise car rental before.
You know how it feels? So it's the workers inside of an Enterprise?
Yeah, that they say he was just like, guys, there's a lot of negative energy in this
What did he
room.
put in the drinks then?
So he got some liquid LSD and he put it in the coffee and he put it in some water bottles. And he said that he was just trying to
mellow everybody out with it?
Yeah. So 2 employees started freaking out. So they went ahead and took him to the ER.
Yeah.
And then the business manager says that she saw the accused, the alleged, holding a water dropper and was pouring something into her water jug. She refused to drink from it.
Sure. It makes you wonder, should you ever drink from an open, a community coffee pot?
I feel like we're safe here.
We're safe here. Small staff should be fine. I'm talking if you work at another place where you're not invested towards one goal. You're
fair.
all just doing your thing, and people come in thinking different things.
I don't know. That's a good question. I was somewhere yesterday where somebody was like, hey, bro, I made us some coffee. I should have been like,
what'd you put in there?
Oh, really? I'll wait till I hear back from the lab.
I don't think think a lot of businesses are not really supposed to have those open containers at this point right now. You're supposed to have everything sealed and get it from the coffee machine, not the coffee pot.
Yeah, you're probably right. Or you know what, Nikki? What I do is we could get our own AeroPress, and then I'll
make
just
your
have
own coffee.
I'll just make my own.
We talked about that though a long time ago. I don't think everybody has the time to invest in all that.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Because then your quick trip to the coffee pot becomes like a 20-minute thing.
I can do an AeroPress in probably, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5?
But that's still...
And you're a pro by now, so you have that.
Yeah, I've got it.
You got your time
down.
There's
a system down. You get the water, you get a thing, you get a
and then there's a
boiling.
line. You guys are all waiting. So I don't know about it.
I mean, I only AeroPress at home.
Is he getting in trouble or what? So he's been arrested?
They say they have not yet placed any... What's the word I want? Charges. But they're waiting to hear back from the lab.
Gotcha.
Because they're testing it. But it looks like he probably did that.
The old LSD in the coffee pot.
Man, we've all been there, right?
Is that what we're at here?
We've all been there.
At the Enterprise Rent-A-Car Center?
That's crazy.
This is the worst of the riot on RadioU.
There's a salmonella outbreak, Nikki.
Oh, where?
Well, it's being reported in all 50 states.
From, is this poor food cooking?
Well, I'll tell you what it's from. Is
it our fault or is it a restaurant's fault?
You'll have to pardon me for being smug about this, but I warned all of you. How many times have I told you that onions are the
Is it
devil's?
onions?
They're the devil's apples.
No, I'm really back into onions.
They've been imported from a suburb of hell.
Well, the issue is I think they also grow them, and it's a sewage problem where the sewage is the water for the onions.
If you told me that onions were full of sewage, I wouldn't have any trouble believing
but
you.
You know what I mean? They're growing in farm fields, and the farm fields tend to get a sewage problem, and that causes all this extra special stuff.
So they say, and this is from foodsafety.gov, that there is an outbreak. It's in red, white, yellow, and sweet onions. They've had 300.
Patriotic ones, or it's just the red and the white?
Actually, kind of. Yeah. They'll turn you blue.
Oh, yeah. I'm using green. I use the scallions, the green onions, so we're fine.
Gross, man. They're the worst.
No, they're not.
Worst.
No, they're not.
Onions are so bad for you guys. They could give you salmonella. You just got to stop eating them right now.
So what do they say? Is there anything you can do? Is washing enough or?
What are you supposed to do about it? I'll tell you what. Let's just go ahead and skip ahead.
Can you cook the onions? Does that cook it out?
Throw all your onions away right now. Throw them all away. And just forget you ever had them. And
Can't you give us something more constructive?
Never buy onions again. This is, Nikki, this is very constructive.
These
are life lessons that are going to carry you through the rest of your life.
Some of us like onions, though. And I just want to know, can I cook the onions that I got or wash them? Will that get rid of it? Or is there no hope for it?
Well, Nikki, you know what you'd be better off doing? Have you ever bitten your fingernails before? That'll take care of that onion need right now.
I don't have any problem then.
No, what they're saying
Put
is
onions
that
on the tip of your fingers.
Let's see, Thompson's onions. So they say there's 11 different brands that come from Thompson's onions. Thompson's Premium, TLC Thompson International, Tender Loving Care, El Competitor, Hartley's Best, Onions 52, Majestic, Imperial Fresh, Kroger, Utah Onions, and Food Lion.
Who knew they had all these types? Or brands or packaging?
Yeah. Dane says, texting, man, I got to avoid eating onions now. 2020 is the worst. Dane, this is the only good thing to come out of 2020 so far.
Because you don't like onions.
Yeah. Justin says onions are trash. Yes!
This is nothing new, though, guys. We go through this stuff every time with our produce.
What? No.
It can be tomatoes. It could be salad. It could be everything.
I don't really like tomatoes that much either, but at least they give us ketchup.
At least we get that.
Onions are the devil.
So are we just supposed to not eat it, throw it away, take it back?
Those, how many brands did I say? 11? Mm-hmm. Any of those, you just throw them away.
Throw them away.
Do not eat them. And I'll just expand on that. if you have any onions at home, throw them away. Don't eat them.
That's from Obi, though. That's not officially from like our food safety thing.
I know, but that's from a friend.
The Riot is well-versed on many different topics.
They're shy at first, but they're quite skilled at conversation.
This is The Riot on Radio U.
We're also here to mourn the passing of a very important friend of ours. Are you familiar with one Wilford Brimley?
So he was in movies in the 80s, was it?
Like
or
70s and 80s?
70s and 80s.
Man, Wilford Brimley was the dude. I watched John Carpenter's The Thing, like, what was it? I don't know, a couple weekends ago. He was in that. I didn't even know he was in that.
But I only remember because there used to be, was he the guy on the diabetes guy?
That's what he is
for the infomercials?
Most well known for.
Yeah, okay.
Because he pronounced it diabetes.
Diabetes, yeah.
Diabetes. You got the diabetes.
And that it was just, I think they still run that thing, or they have, even
it's
though
out
they're
there.
Old. But he was an actual actor.
Yeah, he was a person, believe it or not.
Before
he
the
was not
commercials.
just a random avatar that pronounced it diabetes.
Diabetes.
He actually had quite a career. And there's the other thing that he's super well known for. Okay, on the internet, you may not know this, but there's this thing that I love. I follow it, and I love it. It's called the Brimley Cocoon line. So Wilford Brimley was in a movie called Cocoon back in the, I don't know, 80s or 90s or something like that. And so they have what they call the Brimley Cocoon line, that when an actor or actress reaches the same age that he was in Cocoon. And a lot of people say that because he was, like in Cocoon, he's like in his late 40s or early 50s, but he's playing somebody in their 70s.
Sure.
So he looks way older.
I never knew that.
And so that's kind of the hook, is like, hey, here's this person.
He
and
hit the line in his movie, the
they've
age.
just crossed the line that the age that he was in this movie. It's a Twitter account. I love it.
So Wilford Brimley also was in The Natural. You mentioned The Thing, Seinfeld, Walker, Texas Ranger. He was the Quaker Oats guy for a while too. So
Probably as far as I'm concerned, his most important role, like what meant the most to me, was that on an episode of Seinfeld, he played the Postmaster General. Now, Nikki, in addition to being a postmaster, he's also a general.
yeah.
And as a general, it's his job to, by God, get things done.
Is that from Seinfeld?
It is.
It is.
I think about that all the time. It's my job to, by God, get things done.
Well, he seemed like he had a nice long life.
Yeah.
With lots of stuff.
He's probably a terrible person, and I don't want to know.
Why does he have to be terrible?
Because that's
No one
what
said
happens.
anything.
No, that's what always happens. We're like, oh, I really like that guy. Well, did you know that he blah, 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 blah?
It is true. When you peel back, but so far everything still seems nice and fine. That he seemed like a great guy.
He seemed like a good dude. He had a really good sense of humor about himself on Twitter. He really whatever. And I saw what I think was his last tweet on Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was before he had died. And he actually ran his own Twitter account. And somebody was talking about what a bummer it was that people only remember him for diabetes, but
not his career.
Well, I don't remember what movie it's in, but apparently there's a movie of him like riding a horse, riding away from an explosion, shooting a crossbow. And the guy's like, you were amazing on that horse. And he's just like, ha, ha, ha. You know, like he just had he was a good Twitter presence.
Good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Proper planning prevents poor performance. Clearly, the Riot didn't properly plan. This is the worst of the Riot on Radio U.
You know, the thing that amazes me is that right now there are people that are angry about things that you haven't even thought of.
Could be angry about more stuff.
Somebody woke up mad and you don't even know what it is.
It's a season of learning. What can we be mad about?
It's wild. And so this is one. Now, I don't know. It's on the AP wire, and so it's being picked up by a bunch of different news outlets around the internet and stuff. But apparently, Nikki, the debate is raging.
Mm-hmm.
You know what raging means, guys? That means people are
angry.
Angry eyes.
Rage.
Murder. Not that we think murder's fun. You have to. Okay,
it's an emotion.
Go see Minority Report, and you'll
makes sense with the
understand
murder.
because the girl says murder,
Yeah.
and that's Bryce Dallas Howard.
It is.
It says murder.
Okay, we've gotten off track,
and we just hear her in our minds over and over.
That's all I hear when people just really go at each other. So
she's not lying. She's not. So the big argument is who gets the COVID-19 vaccine first.
I don't want it first.
You're getting it first.
No, I'm not.
I want you to know.
I don't want to.
I put your application in.
No, it's not like that, is it? Is it a lottery or?
I already put you in.
You did not.
I was like, Nikki is essential.
First in space? First for the vaccine. I don't want it first.
You're getting COVID-19 vaccine before we shoot you into space. I'll tell you that.
Nope. Do you need a vaccine if you test like you've already got the stuff in you? Does that make sense? Is that medical? Was that technical? You know, like you got the antibodies.
Hey, doctor, I already have it in me.
Can I just lie? No, the antibodies. I shouldn't know.
Can I please go to the doctor with you sometime? Please. I won't say anything. I just want to be there to gather material. And every time you lie, I'm just going to look at you.
Not lying, because if I took the test to find that out, then do I have to?
I don't know. You can find out, though, right?
I don't want to be first. Someone else wants that, so they can go first.
Well, this will give us a chance to observe.
And I don't want to hear from people that say we should not be worried. I'd be worried about anything in a shot. I'm always worried.
That's the difference between Nikki and I. I'm just at the doctor like, I'll take it all.
I know.
Everything.
And I'm just like, wait, why? One time I had to get...
Left arm or right arm? We'll do them both.
One time I had a real problem because they're like, okay, well, it's an open and a close. And I didn't know a shot. Sometimes you have to have like the first one and then you got to come back a couple months later and you get the other one. I was like, wait, why? Why do I have to close it?
2 shots, big deal.
And so I waited a little longer than the 3 months for the closer. And I finally came back in. I was like, I got to get this closed. All right. I don't want to be first, but.
Okay. Well, they're arguing over who in society deserves.
Oh, the
to
stuff?
Be first.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of that argument.
Oh, no, that must be bad. It must be so bad.
I would be in the room championing the obvious wrong choice. I would just try to find out what just seemed as a bioethicist the absolute wrong choice. This needs to go to death row inmates first.
I don't want to. I don't even want to think about it.
I got to think about it. Like, but here I am making a judgment. I'll tell you who needs this first. Morning show DJs need this first. They're the most deserving, important members of society.
No. Someone else can go first on that.
That's what we need.
I just want to make sure that everything's good, which I know they're supposed to do that before it gets to the general population, but still, I don't like that stuff. And I'm getting ice cream, or you can go get a donut if we have to go. When you're done, you go after. A dozen donuts.
I'm going to spend the whole rest of the day just eating donuts from the box.
The Riot. Just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not good. Wait, isn't that exactly what it means? It's The Riot on RadioU.
Okay, I had someone that I genuinely trust, tell me that, like, on the radio or just in media in general, nobody cares about your dreams. Now, I don't mean like your aspirations. Just that if you're telling a dream, it's very hard to tell somebody a dream and have it mean anywhere near as much to them as it does to you.
So like if you dreamt something while you were sleeping?
Yeah. So like if I tell you, like, last night I had this dream, and to me it's really funny and interesting, but to you it's like, who freaking cares? But listen, tell me that this is not sick.
Did you have a dream?
I had... Like, listen to how sad this dream is. This may be the saddest dream.
What happened?
I had a dream last night that my college self came forward in time and saw me and told me how disappointed they were in me. I had that dream.
Where's that coming from?
Who
Whoa.
has dreams like that? And tell me that's not the saddest dream.
That's tough to hear.
That is the saddest dream.
Why would your college
Who
say
does that? My brain
Is
cooked
saying
up
that.
that scenario.
Yeah, it did.
Whereby whoever I was is disappointed in who I am.
Don't you think you're a better, more advanced individual than you were during your college time?
This I will tell you. I was, and not that this would surprise anybody that attended college with me, I was intensely overconfident. And then attached that confidence to this mouth. I said
Dangerous combo.
I said terrible things. I still remember some of them and think, oh, I've gone back to people
To apologize.
and apologized to them for things that I have said.
Then you're putting it as a negative way, but if that person says they're disappointed in you, it's just probably because you're not as mouthy as you used to be.
No, I think he feels like I should have advanced farther. And I wanted to explain. See, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I wanted to be like,
Well, it's a
listen,
dream.
you don't understand. All right. Life is real. You have to make choices. Bills need paid. Like, you have to do things. There are compromises, all right, that you don't know anything about.
Because you're just still living then.
But instead, he just showed up, dropped a couple of zingers on me, and then just back into the time portal.
And you just woke up.
Then I just woke up, and I was like, it was the middle of the night, and I was just like, man, what the heck? Like, what is this?
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you, brain?
Aw. So anything to spur that on, do you think? Because I know sometimes they say, depending on what you put in to your temple
Yeah.
before you go to
Okay,
bed.
Sure.
Is this something where you were just super...
Well, last night I
Amped up from
read,
that?
I wrote in my journal for a while. I took a walk. I played Destiny 2 and then followed it with Starship Troopers Chaser. And then
What a day.
Went to bed with my head.
How could your earlier self be disappointed in that?
I had my headphones in and I was listening to 12 hours of air conditioning noise that I downloaded from YouTube. What a great guy.
Did you really? You're listening to air conditioning noise?
It's white noise. It's like...
Well, no wonder your past self came forward.
It knocks me right out.
It does? Not even... What about your fan noise? Don't you just have your fan above your bed?
I've got 2 fans going, plus some white noise in my ear, a weighted blanket, and a sleep mask. And I'm sleeping.
I don't want to dissect all that.
I'm sleeping great.
That's why you're having these dreams. You're too deep.
I'm sleeping great, except...
You're too deep in your dreams.
For that, gosh, do you think it's possible that college me really did come and we were connected somehow, subconsciously, that time is just that thing that keeps everything from happening at once, and the two of us, we went into another dimension and we ran into each other in our sleep, and there they were.
You just have a lot going on in your head.
All right. I'm just going to go get some coffee.
The Riot Podcast. RadioU.
Listen, if you're getting coffee or soda or anything that they're handing you out a window with a lid, you need to do something.
What are they saying?
You need to take the lid off and have a look.
Oh, you're supposed to see if someone spit in it?
Have a look.
Yeah, no, you don't want to have a look. You don't want to know.
You should have a look because
especially if maybe there was conflict with you between ordering and paying and pickup, you want to really make sure.
Mm-hmm. Nikki, Vince, he did something allegedly.
And this will get us a cop, wasn't it? This is way worse, guys. There's actually harsher punishment when it is for a police officer.
It's an Illinois state trooper.
Yeah.
On Thursday night, received a cup of Dunkin'. I don't know if you've heard, Nikki, but they allege that America runs on Dunkin'.
So is that a Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru?
Yes. And so it was in Chicago. Man, there's never any good news out of Chicago, is there?
It's not a good time.
They have a public relations problem, which is based on a conduct problem, but we can get into that later.
And that's another time, all right? One problem at a time.
So the cop, he opened up his drink. And
to cool it down is why he took the lid off.
And then I just took the lid off of my coffee, and I poured my own coffee.
So people
I just
do
had
this.
to see. Is there anything in there? Yeah. So he found what he thought was a big old thing of mucus.
And you look at the picture, it's pretty obvious. But they still did a investigation into it, and it was that the guy spit in the trooper's drink.
So he got arrested on
Good.
Friday.
You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this to anybody.
I agree. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's, there are a couple people
I would not want anybody to spit in my drink. I shouldn't spit in anybody's drink.
Are you going to say treat others the way you want them to treat you?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Is that what you're saying right now?
And I doesn't really go into it, but he spit into it because he was a trooper, and you don't do that. We don't. We need to be better than that. So
a liter of cola. It's for a
cop. We don't do this. So He tried to cool it down, saw it was floating in his coffee. They did the investigation. It was confirmed to be saliva. So that's why the employee at Dunkin' Donuts was arrested Friday at 12:49 p.m. They just put the date and time.
Yep, they got him.
And he was in uniform at the time. And he was in a marked police vehicle.
They knew. He knew who he was.
They absolutely knew. Yeah,
they did. In the meantime, what is going to happen to all those donuts? Seized for evidence, probably.
You take some when you go in for the investigation.
I'll just go ahead.
Just to make sure. They do say that there's also surveillance video that they show the employee spitting in the cup. So they have 100% evidence with it.
Man, that's a shame. Of course they would. You were there leading the revolution. Of course they would come after you, right? Good one.
Way to go.
Good one.
So, again, what have we learned, class?
That we would love some donuts right now?
We would like some donuts and coffee, but we do not spit in each other's drinks.
No, Nikki, let's go farther. That we do unto others as we would have others do unto us.
So no spitting and none of this stuff. Just leave it all alone.
Actually, that's another important thing is that if you like people spitting in your drinks, just a heads up, other people don't like that. So even if you're okay with it.
Good to make a note on that. We don't want it.
We're just letting you know.
This was the worst of the riot, and we'd like to congratulate you on having the stomach to stick around to the very end. The riot exists because RadioU exists, and RadioU only exists because of your support. Find out more and give now at RadioU.com/donate.
Did I fart 4 times or 5 times?